Okay, so what we got here is the first step of a grid transfer. What I've done is I've already prepared a small picture that has a grid on it. I believe that this is a half-inch grid, so we've got half-inch columns and half-inch rows, and then those coincide to make a nice little half-inch grid. I went ahead and put this on here in Adobe Illustrator, but if you wanted to put this grid on your picture, all you would need to do is use your ruler and then mark it out this way, mark it out on the bottom, mark it out on the side, mark it out on the side, and then connect the dots basically. So putting a grid on the small picture is the pretty easy part. But what we have to do is try to transfer this to a larger piece of paper. And I'm going to show you a little trick that I have for doing that. What's most important here is the information that I have in this center area. So even if I don't have the right information here on the sides, I can still just alter my picture to match the information I need. So really what I want to do is be able to get this information right here into this picture. So here's one of the tricks I do. A lot of kids struggle with upsizing the grid and everything, and I think one of the easiest ways to do that, to show it, is to just use your ruler as a measurement, the thickness of your ruler. So what you can do is just very simply line the edge of the ruler up with the edge of the paper and then make a line. And now move your ruler to line up with that, there and there, and then make a line. And then move your ruler again and again and again, all the way across this until you get to your grid. So we're gonna fast forward the video here. All right. Now what we got here is we've got our columns all laid out. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns. If I look at my picture, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to nix that column and I'm going to nix that column. So my picture is going to fall inside of this. So that's a good note to put on there. Now I'm going to do the rows. And the same thing applies for the rows. I want to get up here. I want to get my ruler involved. I want to widen this out. I got to lean over, sorry. There we go. Something like this. And now I'm just going to put that row, or that, yeah, it's a row, that row on. Okay, so now I've got my grid pattern on. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and some change on rows. So when I look, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. So what I want to do is I'm going to nix basically these bottom 2 rows, and it's really going to be about this much. So I'm going to nix these, and then that really crops the picture down to be exactly what we want. In the past, I've had kids cut the picture at this point, but if you've got your grid on the paper, it's not a huge deal. You don't have to cut the picture. Now, one of the things worth noting is while I was making these lines, one of my ruler lines got moved a little bit. The way that can affect your picture is your picture can obviously get a crooked grid on it. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you do really well is hold that ruler. You want to make sure that that ruler doesn't turn or twist on you. You want to make sure that everything stays good and square. So that's just something to keep in mind when you hold that ruler. Make sure you hold it with a nice wide hand like this, and make sure that you're making your mark directly on the edge. All right, I'm gonna pause the video, and then we're gonna come right back after you guys get your grid drawn, and we're gonna talk about how to transfer this onto this. So what we wanna do is we wanna begin to transfer this image over. The idea is we need to look at where things, objects, colors, facial features, etc., where those cross the grid lines. Two of the easiest ones to see when you get up here are going to be the eyebrows. So when I look at my picture, I'm going to note 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Excuse me. So I notice in row, let's say 3, the eyebrow starts. Now, a lot of kids wouldn't even draw this. They'd probably start drawing this somewhere in here. But if you want to transfer this over fairly exactly, what you want to do is go right over here to 3, and you want to look at this box and see where that eyebrow starts at. Okay, I've got a bigger picture of this so I can show you. You'll notice on this picture the eyebrow starts really low and actually incredibly close to the eye. Okay, so we've got the eye makeup that comes up, we got the brow that comes down. So I want to look and I want to go and start my eyebrow right about in this area here. So I'm looking for these landmarks and I'm going to start to draw. I also notice that the top of the eyebrow is going to be somewhere in this area and that the eyebrow is going to end in 5, kind of right about there. I was saying, I know some people who really love to draw in this method, and one of the things that I find that they love most about it is it just helps them get their landmarks in the right place. You still have to have the ability to draw the line. You still have to look for the shape of the different features. You're not cheating. A lot of young kids especially think that this is like a cheating kind of thing. This is not cheating. You're just using the grid to help you proportionalize the picture. Okay, so it's really about getting the proportion and getting the landmarks correct, because that's one of the most difficult things to do. So I went ahead and drew that eyebrow in. And now if I want to go over, I can look and see that this one starts about the same level, a little bit lower, and then right on that grid line. Okay, so then I'm going to go through and I want to put my my landmarks in. Wow, that eyebrow comes all the way down and touches that grid line. It touches it right about there. Okay, so and then right up here near the top is where that's going to be. It's a very sharp eyebrow. I like it. Without that grid transfer method, it would be difficult to get that form right. And then the inside of this is quite rounded. Probably a little thinner. There we go. And I can really begin to refine that shape. So right now, kind of some crazy eyebrows on there, but if you look, she has very defined black eyebrows. So I always say to kids, one of the things that you can do if you don't want to go ahead and color this in is just mark it with an X, and then you can go back and refine that later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to search around and I'm going to look for all these nice black spots. And those black spots are going to help me get everything where it needs to be. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to draw for you a little bit. All right, so we're back, got the eyebrows on. Now I'm going to begin to look at shapes of the black areas. There's a couple really serious defining black areas for the face. We've got this hair here, a little bit of hair here. We got the hair here. We got the inside of the mouth. We've got the nostril holes, and we've got her eye shape. If I go to that bigger picture, I can probably see better and show you better than what, and I'll turn on my light, than what you see now. There's actually quite a bit of light inside of this eye. We got some grays and things that will transfer over with our pencil. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to fast forward in the video and I'm going to lay out the black areas. So again, as I'm going, I'm looking for the black areas. I'm looking for the holes, I'm looking for the hair, I'm looking for all this stuff, and I'm going to get that transferred on. And by the time I'm done transferring it on, it should have pretty much a good look about it. It should look very similar to what this picture does. So fast forward, here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it, because what happened is I got a little confused of where my grid was. So I had drawn this area right here. And then I began to draw the shoulder, but what I did is I actually began to draw the shoulder one spot over than I should have drawn it. So that shoulder should have begun in the same box as this area here. But I didn't get that done in the same spot, so now I'm actually one over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to correct my grid, grab my eraser, go through here. There we go. And I'm just going to begin to continue again, and I'm going to start to draw that shoulder piece right here. And you can kind of see how that grid that I draw, it mimics, or that line that I drew is mimicking the opposite line that I had here. So it's the same process, but now you just, if you make a mistake, like I just did, you correct it. No big deal. Okay, cool. So I got those on here. You can kind of see where we're at. One of the lines that's going to be super important to put on here is going to be this kind of nostril labial fold right here. Really important to get that thing on so you can kind of have an idea of where that's at. There's another one over here, but if we do that right now, it's almost going to make her look like a pig, and we definitely don't want to do that. So we kind of have this interesting effect going on right now, and what we want to do is we want to begin to figure out the rest of the form, draw the lines on. But I want to go ahead and fill some of this in so you guys can see kind of the completion of that first step. So basically, when we do that first step, the idea is that, and I went ahead and put some more details up in the eye area here so that those can be on there. But basically, let me get my bevel on this. Basically, the idea is that we want to have black filled in this eye area. And that really adds to the overall look. And I know the way that you guys see this particular image, you see this whole area as being black, but I can tell you just by looking at the picture closely, because again, I have the best vantage point, but by looking at the picture closely, I can tell you that not that whole area is not black. It's most definitely not black. So I'm still looking back and forth at my picture, but you're really going to see this eye begin to come to life here. By no means is this my final shading. I'm just kind of filling in my dark areas, but this will give you an idea of where we're going to be at as far as this picture goes. You can kind of see, like I said, that eye begins to jump out, and it really begins to come to life a little bit here. So there's your eye, like that. And if I had to fill in the rest of it the way that it appears, it would be very dark in there. And very dark in here. So something like that. So you can see that eye begin to come to life. If you want to use your eraser to lighten up some eye shine in there, it's not a bad idea. And you can always get those informations off of the picture. You can always see that stuff pretty well when you begin to look at the picture really closely. But so basically you would go through and you would just follow that pattern all the way through. When it's done, and that's it.